Hello and welcome back to Dreamwalker Tarot. My name is Dawn, and this is the May reading for Taurus, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, and Mercury. Please go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell for post notifications. So happy birthday, Taurus. This is your season. And so I wanted to obviously start with you guys. I hope you guys are having an amazing birthday filled with joy and ease and luxury, right? So in my meditation before I came to do this reading, I don't know, this message dropped into my head that I feel is, for you guys. So during this season, you're going to have the opportunity to really kind of mend fences or rebuild bridges, relationships with people that you might have in the past had a very strained relationship with, whether they did something to you that you were unable to forgive, or whether you did something to them that they were unable to forgive you. There's going to be the opportunity to kind of like heal the nature of these relationships, and process the hurt that's attached to them in like a rather quick, rapid kind of way. There's like a lot of turbulent energy this month. And so I feel like a lot of that will be affecting you in terms of like your communication with, like I said, people in the past that you've had issues with. Also, there's this idea here, is really about closing out old stories, old dynamics, possibly letting old relationships, kind of like die off. And also just not giving old things the energy that they don't deserve, right? And this is also, like I said, simultaneously along with being able to kind of like build and fix relationships that do matter to you, or that you can't like necessarily see relinquishing and moving forward with, and allowing them to be healed in the way that they should be healed. Okay, so I'm going to first do a quick spread with the Spirit Heals Oracle of Echoes. Actually, no, it's the Oracle of Echoes deck by Anna Christina Torian, right? I actually really like this deck. I've had it for a while. And I wanted to do some special spreads for you guys because it is your birthday. And I'm going to do like a past and present spread with the Oracle of Echoes deck, just to kind of get a feel out for the energy for the month before I do, I'm going to do a couple spreads for you guys, okay? Or pull a couple cards for you guys. And the card that comes out in the position of the past is the card that says look within, right? The guidebook says a spiral of energy leads inward to the deepest and truest parts of the self. Do not fear the truths which may be found here, for they are constant, leading and guiding our lives, whether we acknowledge them or not. By coming to know and accept them, we can master them rather than being mastered by them. How deep is your own world? Dive in and explore, for here you will find answers that cannot be found elsewhere. And the card that comes out for the current situation is the shadow self, right? So let me see. When I look at these cards together, right, there's this idea here that there might be some things that you are kind of like struggling with internally, in terms of really being able to look at yourself clearly, to see who you are clearly. I feel like you guys have been doing a lot of work in the present, handling the shadow aspects of yourself that keep you feeling stuck, or keep you actively involved in like, patterns that you might not necessarily be happy with or proud of. But I feel like in the past, you did really take the opportunity to kind of like look within. Some of you, I don't feel like you really processed it, I feel like we're kind of like hiding from yourself, but now you are in a position or in a situation where you can't hide, right? You have to kind of like look at yourself in the mirror and really take a true itinerary or true inventory of who you are, the things that you do and do not like about yourself, and really trying to like work through those issues, right? So the shadow self card says, a woman appears to be calm and poised. Inside, however, her shadow self struggles for expression and recognition. As the psychologist Carl Jung says, to confront a person with his shadow is to show him his own light. Do not succumb to your imperfections, but own and accept them. Then you can proceed safely into the light. If you draw this card, consider carefully whether you are sublimating or suppressing your true desires. So, again, this time of year, there's a lot of like turbulent energy. You can kind of see that in the cards, or the reds that are coming up in the cards in this particular spread. So there's like a lot of turbulent energy, but also because we're in a season where Chiron is in Aries, this is an opportunity to heal things that hurt you or that have hurt you in the past, particularly things pertaining to, like I said, the way that you view yourself, the way that you look at yourself, and be able to process those things rather quickly because of the energy that's, kind of like in the air, right? So really, this is the time for you to really submit to that process and to really find a way to express yourself and to look at, things around you that, like I said, don't necessarily feel the best to you, maybe in the ways that you've acted in the past or, in the present, but really like taking the opportunity to kind of look at yourself in the mirror and, work through that process of healing that shadow part of yourself. Like with spirituality, a lot of people can get stuck on the woo-woo parts, the good parts, manifesting, all those good things, and that all that stuff is amazing. But there is an element of spirituality that is attached to, kind of like taking off the layers of ourselves that hurt us, the layers of ourselves that we use or that we employ to hurt other people, to really kind of look at those deep and dark parts of us, whether they be habits, personality traits, just things that we constantly do that we're not proud of. And so spirituality is really a way for you to be working with your spirits and yourself, working with yourself and your spirits to create this life that you want, and to create yourself in the way that you see yourself on the inside, and being able to kind of express that aspect of yourself to the outside world as well, right? So the last card that comes out in the position of future is the breakthrough card. So pretty much if you take the opportunity right now to really do the work that needs to be done with, healing, really looking at yourself completely naked, right? And not hiding from yourself in any way. This is an opportunity for you to experience a breakthrough with that. Like I said, we have Chiron in Aries. We also are in Mercury retrograde. So this is about tying up loose ends. Really kind of returning back to that initial look within period that you might have avoided in the past, but really sitting with it now and allowing yourself to kind of like process that quickly. We're also in the midst of like eclipse season. And so with eclipse season, things kind of like have a tendency of like speeding up, right? So this process of working with your shadow self and really kind of like taking that deep dive is really going to allow you the opportunity to have some major breakthroughs in a lot of areas of your life, particularly when it comes to healing relationships that you might have had or have that are kind of like fractured right now, right? For the breakthrough card, it says that she dives through fire into the cold, fresh water, her body straight like an arrow. Her determination is palpable. Within the water, we are weightless, all burdens lifted. This card speaks of courage to break through the cycles and not being afraid to leap. Some situations require you to be brave. You must release yourself from obligations that oppress you and abusive relationships. However, in order to succeed, you must be prepared for the changes that come and the price that must be paid. Nothing is gained without sacrifice, and the sacrifice here is comfort and the familiar. So, like I said, there's going to be a lot of changes. But you have to be open to those changes. And ultimately, the changes that are necessary and needed right now are going to begin with you, right? So these are internal shifts, internal changes that are going to start on the inside. And then you'll be going through the process and the work of being able to kind of bring the changes that are happening internally outwards, so that you can have major breakthroughs, right? And again, some of you, this is you, but this is also, like I said, this could also be really taking the opportunity to look at releasing yourself from abusive, restrictive relationships, or anything at all that keeps you feeling stuck or keeps you feeling oppressed, right? So part of the conversation here in terms of the Oracle of Echoes deck is this conversation about breaking cycles and not being afraid to take the leap, right? That card said, this card speaks of courage to break through the cycles and to not be afraid to leap. And so I got a new deck called the Sacred Cycles deck. This came in my Goddess Provisions box. And so it's talking about sacred cycles. And so I'm going to take a look at the cycles that you might be kind of like stuck in, that are kind of like inhibiting you from, moving forward. So the first card that comes out is the Empress card. And really that's your card, like in the traditional deck, right? The Empress card is sometimes being referred to as the card for Taurus. It's also a card of fertility, of growth, of luxury, of just being in nature, connecting to nature, being connected to nature. It's also like for some of you trying to, have a child, that those elements are kind of like wrapped up. So like being fertile, and fertile doesn't necessarily mean having a child. It could just also mean being able to kind of like create that life, that luxurious life that you want, or being in a creative field or creative position, or tapping into your creativity, being able to create the spaces that you want for yourself, to create the life that you want for yourself, to create the dynamics that you want for yourself. It's ultimately a card about creation, right? And so the Empress card says, I see the highest path. Stepping back from the demands and endless expectations that she will continually provide for others, the Empress brings a distinct approach to the feminine wisdom of care and boundaries. She embodies the sense of one surveying her queendom, carefully taking stock of what flows and what or who has got to go. The Empress imbues nurturance in unique ways, seeking stability between what's right for her and what's best for the collective. Deeply connected to the one true great mother, Mother Earth, she prioritizes being in equilibrium and so calls on you to create balanced dynamics in your own life. The Empress is a reminder that the choices to say no, step back from a partnership, and speak confidently about your needs are all steeped in sacred sovereignty. Your self-confidence and decision-making can be strengthened by spending time in communion with the earth, nature, as you step outside daily happenings to remember the big picture. Feel the interconnectedness and harmony that exists within the natural world. And so the question here that you're being asked to consider, this is something that you can write about, this is something that you can do a journal prompt on, is where do you need to stop questioning yourself and trust that you have the right answer within you, right? So something to ponder on for you guys this month, right? The other card that came out, and there were three all in total, right, is a part of the ritual section of this deck. And the card is the red tent. It says, I create sacred space for myself. So again, I said this is about creation. A red tent is an ancient ritual space deeply rooted in traditional cultures, respect and reverence for the human body, and its connection to the earthly rhythms, also called moon lodges or menstrual huts. These structures all offered a retreat for those experiencing their cyclical bleed, creating a place for rest, a pause from daily obligations, and an opportunity to connect with others in the community. These spaces are slowly reemerging in modern culture, but can also be created at home or with a small group in your community. This is a call for you to create sacred space for yourself in whatever way would most serve your needs at this time, whether for your own menstruation or a haven for some personal reflection. Crafting a safe place for your prosperity is a gift to your overall well-being. This can be as simple as a designated chair that you settle yourself upon to draw into a more magical mindset. It can also be a whole room designated to culture your self-care exploration, a space that you invite others into to honor the sacred time. This is your opportunity to declare the ways you'll be stepping back to reflect upon your life and nurture yourself while connecting with others who can support you. And the last card that comes out is the full moon card, right? So the full moon card says, my dreams are coming true. The brilliance of the full moon speaks to the fullness of your life. There's so much wonder gracing your experience right now, just waiting for you to shine a light upon it. The full moon represents a peak point, a culmination of effort and energy. It is a great time to stop and take notice of what has recently manifested. This is a moment to relax into the expanses of what already is. You likely have heard the adage, where thoughts go, energy flows. So focus on the abundance in your life in all its shapes and sizes. There has been an outpouring of doing lately, and now you can feel the magnetism that radiates around you, reflecting all that you have called in and cultivated. It is through genuine acknowledgement and the expression of gratitude that you will be able to illuminate the blessings that may otherwise sneak by unseen. This will support you to continue on your cyclical journey of growth. So ask yourself, what everyday blessings am I grateful for? I mean, that's a really good question to ask. Also, with the red 10 and the full card, there is this energy here of, you can see in the images for this deck is the energy of the moon, the cyclical moon. So when we're talking about this right now, for your reading this month, please pay attention to what comes to you, especially around the full moon periods. You're going to find that things that you were hidden from you are going to be revealed to you between now and the full moon period. So there might be a sense here that there's something or some information that is being kept from you, or information that you're not necessarily seeing that you should be seeing. And so that is something to kind of like watch out for. For some of you, this could be like a pregnancy, like it could be a hidden pregnancy or a pregnancy that you're not aware of as of yet. And so that is something to look out for. I don't want to say twins, but I'm going to say twins. But yeah, twins. So there's like a energy here of fertility and growth and abundance, but also, like I said, a secret about that aspect being kind of like kept. And so it's just be mindful of that going up into the full moon period. Also, in conjunction with the cards that came out earlier when we're talking about like the shadow self, and really kind of like sitting with yourself, looking inside, to see what relationships you want to take with you and what relationships you want to let go. This is a really good time to do like a full moon ritual that is attached to releasing things, releasing people, releasing situations. And you can do that during the full moon, just writing a letter, writing a note of a list of all the things that you want to get rid of in your life, and then just light that shit on fire, and watch the changes really start to happen in your life. And again, like I said, there is a sense of something being revealed to you, so be mindful of that as well. For this next spread, and I just realized I'm not really using any tarot decks this month. I'm using all oracle decks, right? And so this particular deck is the Sibyl's Oraculum, or the Black Doves of Africa, right? And so the way this deck is worked is there's 4 different section of cards, and each card is related to a certain aspect of your healing. So in this particular reading, the card that comes out as a part of the core issue for you guys this month is the Mysteries card. And that is the key symbols represented in this card is the crow, which represents intelligence, higher knowledge, adaptability, the underworld, and resourcefulness. Crows dine on the remains of dead animals that died naturally or are left over from the meals of predators, but they do not kill. The scroll represents the mysteries of all the ages, both oral and written. Roses, in general, represent passion, but here the buds represent the beginnings of a great desire to seek the unknown. There's nothing that must remain unknown to us, even if it is currently inexplicable. Somehow, we know that there is always more to learn, which ultimately leads to experimentation and eventually the revelation of previously inconceivable truths. We also know that what was once common knowledge in the past may revert back into the category of mystery again until the cycle toward rediscovery begins anew. Contemporary scientists have proclaimed that the universe consists of dark matter, but there is, as of yet, no unanimous decision about what it is or how it works. It is, for the time being, a great mystery to them. It may not be in our lifetime, but the qualities of dark matter will one day be easily explainable once someone receives a flash of inspiration that leads them to the answer. If there is something that you are not clear about, the first steps to realizing the answer is to stop believing in the unknowable as an intrinsic fact. Loyalty to the perception of permanence creates stagnation. It is the mother of desperation and hopelessness. The second step to clarification is to stop believing that you can't be the vehicle for the solution. If you can feel the light can only come through someone else, then it's not the right time for you to receive the answers you're seeking. The reason being that even if you were gifted with an amazing insight that could change your life or the lives of others for the better, you would probably deny its validity and end up back where you started, but with the additional burden of wondering if you were correct. However, if you really want to know, believe that there's an absolute possible for that it is absolutely possible for you to know. It is possible for you to know, and you're ready to receive the answers. Then the third step is to hold the question consistently in your heart and wait. If you get this card in the reading, which obviously you have, the deck is asking you to stop and confront the following questions related to your current situation. Do you have a question about something that is kind of like nagging you that won't go away, and that if answered would allow you to move into a more peacefully thorough life? Are you afraid to ask what you want to know because it's impossible to know? Is ignorance really bliss? Are you attempting to hide or think you're too clever to be exposed? Are you purposely trying to misunderstand and make something confusing that does not have to be, out of fear of what the plain truth may reveal? So ultimately, this kind of goes back to that shadow work, right? We're talking about the unknown aspects that are kind of like working in your life. And I feel like you don't necessarily want to believe that other people have more information about you, about your life, about your situation, and they don't. if you really ask the questions that you want the answers to, spirit will show you the answers that you need, right? But there is a sense of you having to trust that. That is something to consider. The card that comes out in the space of the projection is pride, right? And so ultimately, it feels like the reason why you're unable to get the answers that you want it is due to pride, right? Pride is kind of like blocking your ability to see the truth. And this might be your pride kind of coming into play. A little bit of your stubbornness is coming into play here. That is really not allowing you to kind of like look at the situation fully to understand, things that you need to understand. So ultimately, there's a question that needs to be asked, right? Pride is caused by a lack of humility. In situations where a person is said to be prideful, there's almost always a complaint related to stubbornness and or arrogance. A person who is being stubbornly prideful may realize that they have made an error, but they are simply too vain to admit or correct their mistake. For this individual, saving face is way more important than saving grace. This is doubly true if someone else had erred in a minor way and is seeking forgiveness. The prideful person is more prone to make the seeker jump through unnecessary hoops or refuse them altogether for the tiniest infraction. Moving on is most likely not their strong suit, though they are often annoyed if people don't forgive them, and they think their vain sadistic behavior is justified. The other manifestation of pride is excessive self-praise, bragging, and showing off. There is a big difference between acknowledgement of our strengths, talents, and fortunes and rubbing everyone else's nose in them. An arrogant, obnoxious person is surely not as secure with themselves as they would like us to believe, or they would never purposely want their blessings to invoke envy, jealousy, or resentment. Seeking hatred is not the hallmark of a healthy, happy person who loves themselves. Then there is a person who is prideful about not being prideful or caring about the things of this world. This person is arguably the most prideful of all, since they may take great pleasure in announcing their renunciations for the purpose of making others feel less spiritual. When this is the case, the person desires to be worshipped as a super moral or ascetic character for the purpose of dominating rather than inspiring. If you get the pride card in a reading, it is a signal that your ego may be out of control. It may be time to consider how your interpretation of what is happening in your life may be the result of ignorant, self-serving attitudes. So again, I feel like there's a sense here that there's a little bit of like a stubbornness in terms of acknowledging certain aspects of your personality or how you might come across. And I feel like this is like a really good opportunity to kind of like sit with it and really look at yourself in a really open and honest way, in order to, kind of be able to like move on and really handle your relationships in a better way, right? The card that comes out in the action position for the cool action, which is the things that you should be thinking about, is initiative, right? So this is saying that you should prepare your mind to move. No matter how small the first step must be, do not stand still for any reason. You need to step. So this process of really sitting with yourself, really taking the time to do shadow work, to remove your pride off of the table, and to be able to really see yourself clearly in the ways that you've operated in the past, in the ways that you might be operating right now, it's like necessary, right? This, don't delay on this, right? This is really for your ultimate growth and your betterment. And it, based on what the cards are saying, it's like very necessary. And so at the end of all of this, there's like a hot action. And the card that comes out for the hot action is nurturing. And so again, this is the opportunity for that major breakthrough. It's the opportunity for a rebirth. It's an opportunity to kind of like let old ways of being, leaving in them in the past, and really allowing yourself to feel nurtured by yourself, you know, in the dynamics of your relationship that you have with yourself, but also allowing other people to kind of like possess that role and to be nurturing with you as well. The card says to make sure that you are encouraging and nurturing only the qualities, circumstances, and kinds of people that you want to see perpetually appearing in your life. So when you're able to do that, you know, that real soul searching work, and to really look at yourself, you know, in a very honest light, I feel like that action alone will catapult you into a space where you realize that the only things that you need to focus on or nurture are the things that feed you, are the things that are good for you. And so as a result, you're going to find, like I said, that things and people and situations and circumstances are going to kind of, you know, be removed from your life. Again, you might want to consider doing like a full moon ritual in order to kind of like set a ritual to it. But also there's like, you know, there's some questions that you need to really ask yourself. Are you ready to look at yourself? Are you ready to see yourself as you really are? Is that something that you're prepared for? The cards are saying that you need to do that now rather than later. I feel like this is a process that you've gone through a couple of times in the past, but you might not necessarily have completed them. And so now Spirit is saying that it's really time to take a look and to kind of like check your ego, right? Check your ego, because it's not really helping you. It's actually hurting you, and it's hurting the dynamics that you have, especially if you want to create a certain type of life, a certain type of existence. It's good for you to understand that when you look at the way that nature is, that there's a lot of things that can be learned from nature, right? Particularly if you take a look at the way the crow operates, you know, not like killing, but kind of like, you know, taking a part of the kill that's already happened. Like, so those are aspects to kind of like look at in your own life and how that kind of like plays out. But yeah, this is really a time for ultimate healing, for tying up loose ends with, you know, like I said, relationships that you want to keep, relationships that you don't want to keep. You know, it's time. No advice cards this month. I am pulling from the, what deck is this? The self-care activity deck, right? And so the cards that came out for you guys this month in terms of what you should do for your self-care is to pay it forward, you know, giving or doing one simple act for someone else, whether it be paying for someone's coffee in the coffee shop, you know, buying someone breakfast, paying forward something, a gracious act, an act of service to someone else without any reward in it for yourself, right? And allowing that to kind of like, you know, be done in a way where, you know, you tell that person like, you know, pay it forward, and allow them to kind of replicate your actions, and then to do something nice for someone else who will do something nice for someone else, and it creates like a domino effect. So doing that will make you feel better, you know, about yourself. Giving, you know, being of charity, being of service is really a good way to kind of like see that the problems that you might have are not necessarily as big as you think that they might be. And also the second card that comes out is the ritual card. So again, like I was saying earlier, consider doing a full moon ritual to you know, to kind of like really remove the aspects of your life that you want to remove. You know, write the note, write the list of things that you want to remove out of your life, and again, light that candle, burn that piece of paper, and watch those changes happen in your life. So that is the end of the reading, my dears. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, click the bell for post notifications, and I'll see you guys soon. Thank you. Bye.